Hey boys and girls, Chris Avance here with Wi-Fi Training, and I am working on the Cisco 9800 Rockstar course, and I am just done setting up the 9800L controller, or one of them, and I wanted to just kind of take you guys through some of the CLI configuration between building a WLAN and setting up even a centralized AAA server, and I've got ISE already loaded, very basic setup. ISE is configured with a default profile so that we could just send authentications against it. Got a couple of users created. You would see that in one of my other videos. But just wanted to take you guys through, hey, what does it look like to configure from the CLI one of the new 9800 controllers with a AAA servers, and then B, with mapping all the things you need to map to get a new WLAN to appear and work. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm on my 9800A controller. I'm going to do a show WLAN sum just to see that there is in fact one WT data WLAN out there. That's it. Okay. So before we get started on this, I want to use AAA. I want to use our new ISE server, and I will show you our topology even that we're going to be using in this course. Here, I've been writing some stuff. So let me get down here to our topology. And this is basically what we're using here. So we've got two 9K 9200 series switches, site 1 and site 2 thing going on. We've got a gig port between them that we're using as a layer 3 routed interface, two 9800L controllers that we're going to do a variety of configurations with. We've got ISE, we've got DNAC, we've got an IPSK server, an AD, and a couple 9K APs. One of the APs is an 1800 series right now, but it's just because I'm doing EWC on the other one. But anyway, let's go ahead and configure that ISE server there. So here's what this looks like. First of all, we need to do AAA new command, start doing our AAA stuff. And we're going to do radius server ISE3. We're going to do address, and we'll look at this IPv4. You can put in the FQDN. You can put in the IP address either way. It's good to go. We're going to do auth port 1812. It's RFC standardized port instead of the 1600 series ports we were using. And we're going to do accounting 1813. So there's a lot of functionality you can do at this point with this AAA server, but with timers and timeouts and all that kind of stuff, retransmissions, you name it. But the main thing is just key and our shared secret key for the radius server. So now we're going to get yelled at. I'm using 17.5 iOS-XE, and it's going to yell at us anytime we do a plain text password, but it's all good. It's going to work none the same. So now that that's done, let's go ahead, exit this mode. We're going to configure our AAA server now. So we're going to do AAA group. We've configured the AAA server. Now we need to configure the group. AAA group server radius. This is our radius configuration group. And we're going to do ISE as our group name. Now, server name needs to match what we just built up above. So what we're going to do, ISE-3 is what we're going to use. Okay. Now we've got our group. Now this is typically we would have all of our PSNs put in to a group, and then we could load balance or use it for HA, right? So if this site's primary PSN went down, and go to the next PSN, that kind of thing. I don't want to make this about ISE though. This is really about the CLI requirements to get a centralized WLAN going on a 9800. So if I want to do change of authorization, that is a separate thing. But so far, I've got my AAA server group set up. Now I just need a policy here. So we're going to do AAA authentication, and we're going to say for .1x, we're going to use ISE. And you can step through this if you want. These are the AAA commands I'm using right now, guys. Have been around for a long time. So whether you're doing a Cisco switch, same thing basically, right? Or autonomous AP back in the day, same type of setup. And we're going to do a group name of ISE. That's what we just built. So we're good with that. So now we actually have a AAA server built. We can test authentications, all that kind of good stuff. And in fact, let me show you that. So we're going to do test AAA, and then we can just do group radius, or we could do the group name, right? So we could say group and then just put in ICE, that's our group name, and then put in our username. Now I've got an employee 2 account configured on ICE, so we're going to do employee 2. I'm going to put in Cisco 123, and we're going to put in new for the new code, and let's test that. So we got back employee 2 there, and successfully authenticated. So our radius server, very basic, is set up and good to go, at least for us to build a WLAN around. So now we've got some new concepts with the 9K controllers. Okay, so a few things going on. We still need to build the WLAN, but we still have the policy profile on the site. So there's some default profiles and tags we're going to be using for this example. Again, I've got a whole course that I'm writing about each of these in detail. This is just quick and dirty to show you what it's like to do all this from the CLI. So let's get started with that. We're going to do config T, and the first thing we want to start off with is just go ahead and get out our default policy mapped and built properly. Now, if we do show IP int brief, our management VLAN here, guys, is VLAN 10. Okay, so that's where we need to terminate people. So what we're going to have to do is go under our wireless profile policy. So wireless profile, and then policy, and there is a default policy profile that I was telling you about right here. Going to use that and do AAA, and all of our options are under here, so you can kind of see what you would put under here. It's extensive, but this is our policy. Like, what are we doing with this, right? So first thing we want to do is, you can see AAA override is there. If I want to do AAA override, right? Central mode, if we want to do flex stuff, there's some flex stuff. There's also a flex profile that we can have as well. But the type of switching we want to do, okay? So central, for example, we can say central switching, all that kind of good stuff, which is basically what we're doing here. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and make sure that's all set. So we're going to do AAA override. And we'll go ahead and shut this down for this, but we'll do AAA override. That's going to allow the AAA server to give us instructions back on your policy, put you in a different VLAN, assign you any number of things that we could do, AAA overrides, all that kind of good stuff. So this is, like I said, central switching. And there's a couple options there, but we're just going to do the switching for now. The description, this is the default policy profile that we're creating. Sorry, profile policy. So I'm not modifying too much, just the basic, okay? And I want to make sure that we've got our VLAN put in here the correct way, that it understands the VLAN that we're going to be using for this. Now, you're probably going, well, Chris, didn't you do an initial GUI setup that did this? So yes, the GUI setup can still have some bugs. Believe me, I know. I mean, it does work out of the box. There's a couple things. This is more just me making sure this demo is hopefully going to work the first time. So we'll just call it as that. Now let's bring this guy back up. So we're going to do a no shutdown. And that's our policy. We're just saying central switching, terminated on VLAN 10. We still haven't built our WLAN, still haven't assigned it to our policy. So let's go ahead and exit out of this real quick and just build our WLAN. This is pretty straightforward. WLAN, profile name. You're used to that from AireSpace or anything. So we're going to call this guy Wi-Fi training. We got to give it a WLAN ID. Okay. We're going to call this 2. Call the WLAN Wi-Fi training. And case sensitivity matters there. Okay. Now, for this, we're going to keep it very easy. Like I said, we're going to do security, .1x, and then we've got two things, authentication and authorization list. Okay, so we're going to do authentication. And what did we just create? We created ICE. So we're going to put there, and then security, .1x, authorization, ISE, and that should be good to go. So no shut. And yeah, that should be it, I think. Let's see here. Let's do show WLAN. So there's our WLAN configuration, and there's another good command that if you haven't used, I'd like for you to know just real quick. It's show run WLAN. So this shows the running configuration for your WLAN configs, which is very helpful. So you can see both these guys are up. I should now be able to jump on my lab PC here. I've got a laptop in the lab. And let's see if we can't connect to our, oh, you know what? Completely forgot one item. And I bet you this has stumped you if you've ever tried to do this, because I completely forgot. And this is what I get a lot of students asking me about whenever we teach the ENWLSI or any of the courses that have the new 9Ks in it. That is, we created the WLAN. The WLAN's up. There is a default policy profile that we just touched. But if we don't assign the WLAN to that profile, it's not going to appear. It's not going to actually be advertised anywhere. We've got to make that assignment so that it knows what to do with it. Okay. So let's go back on our 9K real quick. It's just a couple more items. And we're going to do wireless tag. Got to tag our WLAN and our policy profile. So policy. And if we look, we've got our default policy tag that we edited earlier and assigned the VLAN. We're going to throw that on there. WLAN Wi-Fi training. That's our profile name. Policy. And then we've got our default policy profile. That one doesn't tell you the defaults there. So after that's done, now we should actually have our Wi-Fi training WLAN. And there, what do you know? Right there. So let's go ahead and check this guy out. I've already had one configured Wi-Fi training before. Hang on. Let's forget this guy. What do you know? We use the name Wi-Fi training a lot, right? All right, let's see here. Wi-Fi training. Let's go ahead and uncheck. I should have known because it was unchecked, right? So we'll go ahead and log in as employee 2. That's an ISE account that I had set up. We'll use the magical Cisco 123. Click connect. And looking good. Feeling good. Now that's, you see client added, so show client some. There is our client and .1x. So that is what it's like to configure a centralized WLAN from scratch with the AAA servers. And yeah, we're really just getting started. We've already got our pre-shared key WLAN. Now we've got our centralized. Now it's time to start really setting up some of the finer tuned experiences, start building our custom tags and profiles, and start optimizing the user experience, all that kind of stuff. You're going to see stuff like this, guys, and a whole lot more in the Cisco 9800 Rockstar course that we have built. It is long overdue, but I promise you guys are not going to be disappointed. I'm on the case. We're going to do some recording. I'll have this course to you very quick. We'll see you then. Cheers.